Let me tell you about an organization called the United Cajun Navy. These are the people who showed up after Hurricane Katrina when the government did not. They are the people who launched boats into floodwaters to pull families off rooftops when official rescue operations were overwhelmed. They are the people who show up with thermal drones, with 25 specialized search dogs, with grid search expertise, with an army of trained volunteers, and they find people that official searches missed. They have done it after hurricanes. They have done it after tornadoes. They have done it in missing persons cases across the country. And in late February 2026, 25 days after Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her Tucson home, they flew to Arizona. They sat down. They spent days putting together a comprehensive 41-page operational plan detailing exactly how they would deploy their drones, their dogs, their volunteers, their thermal imaging technology across the rugged desert terrain surrounding the Catalina foothills. They submitted it to Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. They agreed to operate entirely under his command. They agreed to release no independent statements. They agreed to submit everything to his approval first. They gave up every ounce of their organizational autonomy to make it as easy as possible for him to say yes. And then they waited. For almost a week. The sheriff never called them back. Today is day 50. Nancy Guthrie is still missing, and the United Cajun Navy's thermal drones, the ones that could sweep miles of desert terrain in hours, are sitting idle in Tucson, waiting for a phone call that has not come. And a retired FBI special agent just asked the question that nobody else has dared to ask out loud. What if the sheriff already knows where this ends, and that is exactly why he does not want those drones searching? Nancy Guthrie has been missing for 50 days. She is 84 years old. She requires daily heart medication. Her pacemaker is still transmitting somewhere in the world. And today, on the milestone of day 50, the story of the United Cajun Navy and the ignored 41-page plan has exploded across true crime communities, news outlets, and social media in a way that no single development has since the sheriff's gym schedule became public. Because this is not just a story about bureaucratic incompetence. This is not just a story about a sheriff who prefers to work alone. This is, according to former FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer, potentially a story about something far more significant, something that would explain not just why the sheriff turned away the Cajun Navy, but why he turned away EquuSearch as well, why he has declined every serious offer of outside search assistance, why he keeps saying investigators are definitely closer while offering no meaningful updates, and why, on day 50, the desert surrounding the Catalina foothills has still not been comprehensively searched by the most qualified volunteer search organization in the United States. First question for you right now. When you heard that the sheriff ignored a 41-page professional search plan from the United Cajun Navy, what was your first reaction? Outrage? Suspicion? Or something else entirely? Drop your answer in the comments. February 24 to March 22, 2026, day 25 to day 50, Tucson, Arizona. Here is the complete United Cajun Navy story, every detail, every refusal, and the theory that is now dominating every serious conversation about this case. Who are the United Cajun Navy? The United Cajun Navy is a Louisiana-based nonprofit volunteer organization founded in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. They specialize in high-stakes disaster response and missing persons searches, deploying thermal imaging drones, specialized search dogs, and coordinated ground teams in situations where official resources are stretched thin or terrain makes conventional searching difficult. They are not amateurs. They are not a Facebook group with flashlights. They are a professional volunteer search organization with a documented track record of finding people that official searches missed. The 41-page plan. In late February 2026, the United Cajun Navy submitted a comprehensive 41-page operational plan to Sheriff Chris Nanos, outlining exactly how they would conduct their search. The plan included the deployment of dozens of specialized search dogs, with some reports specifying 25 canines, alongside thermal imaging drone technology, capable of sweeping large areas of desert terrain in hours rather than days. The plan made 3 critical concessions to the sheriff's authority. They agreed to operate entirely under law enforcement command. They agreed to release no independent press statements. And they agreed that everything would require the sheriff's explicit approval before proceeding. They gave up everything. They asked for nothing except a signature. And they waited. For almost a week, the sheriff never called them back. Today is day 50. Nancy Guthrie is still missing, and the United Cajun Navy's thermal drones, the ones that could sweep miles of desert terrain in hours, are sitting idle in Tucson, waiting for a phone call that has not come. And a retired FBI special agent just asked the question that nobody else has dared to ask out loud. What if the sheriff already knows where this ends, and that is exactly why he does not want those drones searching? The EquuSearch also turned away. Neither the Cajun Navy nor EquuSearch received a response from the sheriff. EquuSearch, the Texas-based volunteer-mounted search and recovery organization, founded by Tim Miller after his own daughter was murdered, has assisted in hundreds of missing persons cases, including the search for Natalee Holloway. They also offered their services. They also received no response. 2 of the most respected volunteer search organizations in America, both in Tucson, both ready to search, both ignored. The wasted search plane. Sheriff Nanos was accused of wasting 3 hours deploying a thermal imaging search plane because he had already reassigned the only qualified pilot to street patrol after a personal disagreement. 3 hours. A thermal imaging search plane sitting on a runway because of a personal disagreement, while Nancy Guthrie was missing. And now, here is the theory that Jennifer Coffindaffer posted on social media and that the New York Post described as carrying real weight from someone who spent years inside the bureau. Coffindaffer wrote, "Wondering why the sheriff keeps turning away proven, very capable civilian search experts like EquuSearch and a real Cajun Navy. Is law enforcement close to an arrest and they know what happened to Nancy, so they don't want to waste the valuable resources of these groups? Half glass full, hoping law enforcement is getting closer." Read that theory carefully, because it is not an accusation. It is a possibility, and it is the most hopeful possibility in 50 days of coverage. If the sheriff is turning away search teams not because of incompetence, not because of ego, not because of bureaucratic stubbornness, but because law enforcement already knows to believe enough to know that a ground search of the desert is no longer necessary, then the investigation is not at a standstill. It is at a conclusion, one that has not yet been made public, one that is waiting for the forensic science, the genealogy, or the arrest to confirm what investigators already believe, one that explains why the sheriff keeps saying definitely closer with the quiet confidence of someone who is not guessing, and one that, if I am right, means the phone call the Guthrie family has been waiting 50 days to receive may be coming sooner than anyone knows. Second question for you right now. Jennifer Coffindaffer suggests the sheriff may be turning away search teams because law enforcement already knows where this ends. Do you think that is a hopeful sign or a devastating one? Drop your theory in the comments. The public response to the United Cajun Navy story has been the most emotionally charged and politically unified reaction of the entire investigation. True crime communities that have been divided on almost every other aspect of this case, the recall, the media war, the ransom notes, are almost entirely united on one point. Turning away the United Cajun Navy was wrong. Comments across YouTube, Reddit, and social media have been explosive. One viewer wrote,
"What is wrong with that sheriff? This is crazy." Another, "EquuSearch wanted to search as well, but was told no. What is going on with this case?" And perhaps the most pointed, "What is the sheriff hiding?" The Deputies Union President, Sergeant Aaron Cross, who speaks more freely than most within the department, gave his honest assessment. More bodies and more help is always better than less. He cannot override the sheriff, but he made sure the world knew exactly where he stood. My personal opinion? I have gone back and forth on Sheriff Nanos throughout this investigation. I criticized the gym schedule, I criticized the early crime scene release, I criticized the 8 suspensions and the deposition answer. But on the United Cajun Navy question, I find myself genuinely uncertain in a way I have not been before. Because Coffindaffer's theory is not just plausible, it is actually the most logical explanation for why a sheriff who says investigators are definitely closer keeps turning away resources designed to find a body